Deuteronomy 6:5-7. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all of thine heart, with all of thy soul, with all of thy might. And these words which I command thee this day in thine heart, thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk with them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. Call Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim Chakodash. Double honors and salutations to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Wah, the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, the Wada, for your diligence throughout all these years. You're worthy of the title. Shalom to the elect, the 144,000 men scattered throughout the four corners of the globe, pushing this truth at this very hour. Shalom unto you, and shalom to the innumerable 1/3 that consists of men, women, and children that have been blessed with the mark of the Dawah, pursuant to Ezekiel 9:4, which is exemptment from the judgment that's fast approaching. I'm the brother Yazraela from the GMS Dallas camp, coming back at you with another quick hit lesson, Abaratazah, meaning Lord willing in the ancient Paleo-Hebrew. It is edifying unto those who are meant to receive it. Now, the name of this lesson here is, what legacy are you leaving behind? What legacy are you leaving behind? All right, now I was at the park here just a little while ago, and sometimes, when, of course, brothers, we can all attest to this, at times you may be feeling low in the spirit, so you pray, to the Lord to give you strength, and to, you may feel like you need to do a lesson, but your mind's kind of, fogged up, whatever. So you pray to the Lord, and the Lord will open your mind and give you, what you ask for, So I was meditating, at the park today, beautiful day out, just thinking about, I asked the Lord to give me a lesson, and brought this out. I'll do the other one later when I get home, but I had to cut my workout short just to come here and, lay this down as it was burning. All right. And as you see the title, what legacy are you leaving behind? Because the question is, what is a legacy? Like, the legacy is a story. All right. Now, when you look at our forefathers, all right, the ancient great men of the Bible, you see you live on through your legacy. All right. It is your way of life. It is your honor. It is your glory. All right. In our case, it's a very beautiful legacy. We have the most beautiful legacy in world history. All right. And that legacy is to be what? Is to be passed down to your generation. All right. To be upheld. All right. That legacy is of the utmost importance. So ask yourself, what legacy are you leaving behind? All right. When you look in the Bible, you see that there are two main characters within this movie that we're living. And these main characters are Jacob and Esau. Now, both of these characters are tied to a legacy. All right. That's written within the Bible. All right. And a legacy is what? It's an identifier. All right. It's your fingerprint, if you will. Right. And there are certain characteristics, mindsets, actions, behavioral patterns, thought patterns, beliefs that tie into these legacies. All right. Especially the legacies of these two characters, of Esau and Jacob. All right. This is why what Jeremiah said was so profound when asking, the men of the Lord to look to the old path. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and grab this. I brought the scriptures up here on the screen for those who don't have their swords. You can follow along. This is Jeremiah 6. And we'll go down to 16. And it says what? Thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways and see, and ask for the old path. Where is the good way? And walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. You see, so that old path is the ancient ways, all right, our legacy of our forefathers. As it says, you will find rest for your souls. It is the good way, you see. So again, going back to how important a legacy is, particularly our legacy, all right? This Bible as a whole is our legacy, all right? This truth brings what? It brings health to your bones. Health meaning what? Whole, right? Now, did not the Lord say to eat the whole roll? So our legacy, all right, is tied to our health. Your legacy is tied to our salvation, which is of the utmost importance. Okay, and without having your legacy, you are you are left to your own devices. Ultimately, you're naked. Okay, you become brute beast, as the scripture talk about, natural brute beasts created to be destroyed. Why? Because you don't have a foundation. You don't have an outliner, right? You don't have a fingerprint, all right, in the earth. Okay, so ultimately you live with that do as thou wilt spirit. And in our case, that spirit or that way is black culture. All right, and that is not our legacy. See? Matter of fact, I'm going to pull this in Psalms, I think it's 78. Let me see here. Okay, bear with me 1 minute. Let's say 78, and we'll start at 3. Psalm 78 and 3. Which have heard and known, and our forefathers told us. Matter of fact, I'm going to start right up here at 2. I open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old. What is that talking about? Ultimately, the mysteries, all right, that are written in this book. That's a part of our legacy. This is why only an Israelite man, chiefly an Israelite man of the Lord, is able to go into the book and extrapolate and expound. Why? Because it is part of our legacy. This is what our forefathers did. You see? These mysteries, these dark sayings, this way of life is all tied to a legacy. Right? It goes on to say, which have heard and known, and our fathers have told us. Why? Because it was passed down. You see? We will not hide them from their children, showing to the generations to come the promises of the Lord and his strength and his wonderful works that he hath done. Right? The history, the story, our story behind us. Right? You have a thing in the world we call history. Well, the history we're living is Esau Edom's history. Why? Because this is Esau Edom's world. Job 9:24. So we're living his story. All right, and his story, all right, though it's tied to his legacy. When you go through the scriptures, it is not our legacy. You see, our legacy we're reading. It goes on to say, for he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our forefathers that they should make them known to their children. What is that talking about? A legacy. You see? Searching for the old path and walking therein. Right? This is what's to be followed. A legacy is something that follows you. It identifies who you are as a nation. You see? Goes on to say that the generations to come might know them, even the children which should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children. Right? So there's a responsibility that's tied to that legacy. You see? We are to teach our children, all right? This is something to be passed down. But the Lord let it be known that we would discontinue from our heritage and from our legacy. Why? Because ultimately Jacob became wicked, all right? We became that strange vine. Okay, why? Because we followed after the nations. We followed after their legacy, right? Their ways, their culture, which ultimately is contrary to ours, which will lead us into destruction. And that's the same legacy that Jake follows today. That black culture. You see? And that's Jake's problem. All right? That black culture, what has it brought us as a nation when you think about it? Strife, contention, enmity, death, destruction. Ultimately, right? That rap music, the trap music, the sagging in your pants, referring to yourself as dogs and beasts, hoes and bitches. You see, this is not our legacy. That legacy is tied to Esau Edom when you go into the book. Because there's a characteristic, there's a mindset that's tied to that. There's a rebellious spirit that's tied to that. And that's Jake's problem. His legacy is tied to rebellion. You see? And ultimately, Jake is going to be destroyed. All right, at least he bends an ear and hearkens. Okay, our job as men of the Lord, Abaratazah, we're part of that number, is to go out and declare. All right, because we have been lost. We have been disconnected from our legacy. And Jacob has been in a mindset of rebellion for so long that he doesn't know right from wrong, or should I say, he calls wrong right and right wrong. You see? And that is who ultimately the mindset of the wicked, Esau Edom. They are a poison. Okay, but this where Jake finds his legacy. This where Jake feels he belongs. All right, but there's consequences that's tied to that legacy, Jake. All right, there's the destructive consequence that's tied to this legacy that you're following after. So again, what legacy are you leaving behind? You have to stop and ask yourself that. And that's the problem, as I said, with Jake. He loves Esau, Edom's legacy more than his own. All right? And when you look at the children today, all right, these little damn monsters that are running about, all right, what ultimately legacy were they brought up under? Black culture, rebellion. And that's all tied to Esau, Edom's legacy. You see? And that legacy is tied once again to destruction. What did Peter say? As a matter of fact, let me grab this in 1 Peter. I'm not going to go too long here because I have to head to work, but the Spirit was on me to go ahead and do this lesson. So how about this? We get through it here. What is that? 1 Peter 2. Let's go ahead and right here. This, Peter lets it be known. All right, 1 Peter lets it be known what our legacy is, man. All right, right here. 1 Peter 2:9, but ye are a chosen generation. Here's the point. A royal priesthood. Royal priesthood. We are of a priestly bloodline. A royal priestly bloodline. That is our legacy. Deuteronomy 7:6 says that he has chosen enough. We are above all the nations that are on the face of the earth. There's a legacy that's tied to that. And that legacy is tied to the heavens. That's where our conversation is. Philippians 3:20, our citizenship. We are a heavenly people, a royal bloodline from the heavens. Goes on to say, and a holy nation, a particular people, that ye should show forth the praises of him who has called you out of darkness into this marvelous light. You see? Because we were once degenerate, even the men of the Lord, those of us that are preaching this truth, those of us that have repented, we followed that black culture at one time, but we realized it was dark. There's nothing but death at the end of that tunnel. We've seen it in our friends and our family, people that we've been close to in the world, even ourselves. We've been fucked up and had things happen. Matter of fact, really quick here, I just want to go into this word here. All right, this is having that extra oil. Extra oil meaning you got to go into the actual words. You got to go into a little bit of Hebrew, into the Greek, into the breakdowns. If you ain't got that extra oil, you ain't got it. All right, peculiar, preservation, possession, one's own property. Right, we are owned. We belong to the heavens, to Yahweh. Didn't I just bring that out? Philippians 3:20. Our citizenship is in heaven, right? Where we belong. You see? Goes on to say acquisitions, act of a thing, preservation, purchased. We are the purchased possession. You see? Are there any more? Let's use some entry here really quick. I'm just curious here. Just bear with me. God's own possession. We are his peculiar people. God's own possession. You see that? Someone put under also particular people. To preserve. Let's go to a couple more here, Salaki. Just bear with me. A light upon right. A city on the hill cannot be hidden. That's that light. You see? Portion. Are we not the Lord's portion? You see? Come on, man. This is who we are. Okay? This is who our legacy is tied to. This is who we are tied to as a people. All right, this is our legacy. This is who we truly are. All right, and this is what to be held, is what's to be upheld and brought forth. All right, does not Proverbs 22 says, train up a child in the way that they should go, and when they are old, they will not depart from it. Right? So this is the mindset of Jake, though. Okay, because ultimately Jake finds no joy and no righteousness, no benefit in our legacy. All right, this is the main reason why you have these little badass monsters out here today. All right? Because they have been given the correct legacy. The legacy they've been given is the legacy of black culture. All right? Having no discipline, no accountability, no morale. You see? Because ultimately they were brought up in a culture that was contrary to ours. Contrary to what we're reading here. See, matter of fact, let me grab this here and just going to get a couple more here and then I'm gonna pull out here. This is Sirach Salakia 30:1. He that loveth his own son calleth him often to feel the rod, that he may have joy in him in the end. What does that mean in the end? Well, I just quoted it. Proverbs 22. Raise up a child in the way it should go, and they will not depart from it. You will have joy, all right, because they will not depart from it when they're older. Okay, why? Because ultimately they're going to pass that same lineage down to their sons and their daughters and so forth and so on. Goes on to say, Sirach 30:2, he that chasteneth his son shall have joy in him, and shall rejoice of him among his acquaintance. Right, that's something to be proud of, because what is discipline? What does the rod bring? Correction. Right? And Jake couldn't be farther off right now. Correction. All right? Discipline brings order. Right? Discipline brings righteousness. Hell, even when you look at it in the world, if you want to work out, right, you want to be fit, what is that going to take? Discipline in order to receive the fruits of your reward. You see, and the fruits of our reward that we want is salvation. This is why our legacy is important. Following our legacy is important. You see, Sirach 30:4, though his father die, yet he is as though he were not dead, for he has left one behind that is like himself. You see that? You reign your child. This is why a father is so important. But here in this kingdom, they uphold the woman more than they do the man. And this is why you have these little monsters running around here today. Right? Because they have fallen away from the legacy. He who wanders out of the way of righteousness, roughly paraphrasing, shall remain in the congregation of the dead. You see, we've wandered out of the way of our legacy, and that's why Jake is through. So raising our child up in the way of our legacy, when the father dies, it's like he's still here. Why? Because he's left an extension of himself. Your child is basically an extension or continuation, the son of who you are. It carries your name, carries your ways, carries your legacy. What legacy are you leaving behind? Sirach 30:5. While he liveth, he saw and rejoiced in him. And when he died, he was not sorrowful. Why? Because he knew he lived on. We know we live on through our seed line. Why? Because that lineage is continually pushed through the earth. You see, we just went through that, the first precept, right? Teaching them to your sons and your sons and your sons' sons. All right? When you lie down, when you wake up, when you're in the house, when you walk by the way. So it becomes a part of their life. It becomes their fingerprint. The fingerprint is something that can't be removed. You see? Sirach 30:6. He left behind him an avenger against his enemies. Woo! Barakatah Yahweh Shem Yahshua. And the one that shall Salakia, requite kindness to his friends. Right. That spirit of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. You see? So if you leave your legacy, if you don't leave your legacy behind, if you don't leave your story behind, if you don't raise your children up in the way that they should go, they don't know who their enemies are. They don't know who they are, let alone their enemies. You see? And they'll be more apt to join their enemies, hand in hand. You see? They'll be more apt to be destroyed by their enemies. Why? Because they were never taught their legacy. You see, this is why it's important in understanding the Bible, eating the whole roll, having that health, right? Because the Edomites here, when you go into the Bible, they have a history, they have a legacy, right? When you look at it, and it's evident, all right? A legacy is something that you leave behind. Revelations, the 6th chapter, as a matter of fact, let me get this. This is Esau's legacy in a whole. 6:4, and there went out another horse that was red, that's Esau, Edom, and power was given unto him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. You see that? Now that lines up with what? Let's get it. For those of you who had know, what does that line up with? Habakkuk? Yeah, Habakkuk 2:5. Yeah, also because he transgresseth by wine. You see, this is the mindset of the wicked. This is his legacy. This is In a lot of ways, or should I say, this is the way of the 2/3 today. All right, Jakes that are bugged the fuck out. Ultimately, this is the mindset. This is the legacy in which they follow. Excuse my French. Yeah, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, but who largest his desire as hell and is as death, and cannot be satisfied. Largest his desire as hell and as death. So scripture talk about hell and death follow him. You see? So if something follows you, what is that called? What would you call that? Call that your legacy, right? This is the legacy that follows Esau Edom. And this ultimately is the legacy that follows Jake, or should I say the legacy that Jake wants to follow. Matter of fact, I didn't go down far enough. I think, because I was trying to get here, and let me go back there. I meant to grab this one here. 6th day. And I looked, behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed him. And power was given on him for over the 4th part of the earth to kill with the sword and with hunger and with death and the beasts of the earth. So now we know the 4th part of the earth is talking about America. All right, we've been through this. There's an author by the name of Toby Lester who's written a book called The 4th Part of America, or the 4th part of the world is America. Okay, so who is given rulership over the 4th part of the world? America today. Who and ultimately has extended its tentacles all throughout the earth. That's Esau Edom. Job 9:24. I brought that out earlier. But it says death and hell followed him. So if something follows you, that's your legacy. And that's the legacy of Jake today. And this is the problem with Jake today. You see? So ask yourself again, what legacy are you leaving behind? All right, now anyway, pull this out here. So that's pretty much it that I have. You know, Abarat Zah, this lesson was edifying unto those who were meant to receive it. And again, I want to say, Kol Holo Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Ruach HaKodash. Lastly, ask yourself, always, especially you men out here, what legacy are you leaving behind? Shalom.